Hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm just about to get started breaking down the system that you need to create a highly profitable solo expert business. The goal is not just to create, but to sustain 50 to 80K months without all that hustle and grind. Because I don't know about you, but I've got 3 kids. And so 60-hour work weeks just don't really work for my schedule anymore. And the good thing is, it's a lot simpler than you're probably thinking. And that's exactly what trips most people up. See, after having worked with some of the top figures in our industry, Joel Kaplan from Agency Lab, Chris Evans from Traffic and Funnels, Matt Vandevek from FTF Warrior, and literally dozens and dozens of other micro influencers from the health, business, mindset, and finance coaching industry, what I can tell you is that most people fall into one of 3 categories. Now let's take a look real quick at what those are. So as an expert, this is what your scaling journey is going to look like. And don't worry, every expert goes through the same path. Now, it starts off in the startup phase. Most people in the startup phase are making anywhere between 0 and 10K a month, but it's pretty frantic. It's uncertain. You've got an offer and you're mostly just still validating the market fit. Sales mostly come organically, and cold traffic proves extremely difficult to convert. So if you've tried ads in the past and wondered why they didn't work for you, don't feel bad because this is pretty common in the startup phase. Part of this stage also means you have limited reach and influence because the people who have reach and influence don't usually have a hard time selling their offer when they have a big pool of people who already know, like, and trust them, right? We call this phase finding their place. Now, this is problematic because they only get so many shots on goal. And if you can't communicate your value in a clear and compelling way, that limited reach that you're getting is a big problem. So, in order to break through into the next phase, most experts really have to craft what their unique value proposition is and what is going to resonate with their market in the first place. The second constraint is they often don't know how to pick a lane. Most times I see people who get stuck. They're trying to do too many things for too many people, or they have multiple offers going out to multiple different people. And that's even worse because then their attention is being pulled in 101 directions. So now the good news is that once you're able to work your way through these constraints, you're typically going to find yourself in the growth phase, which is a little bit more stable, 10 to 12K, maybe spurts as high as 18 to 20K per month. Now, if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you probably fall into this bucket. Now, if you're here, this is probably going to sound familiar to you. Most founders in this stage tend to have a lack of clarity around what systems actually bring them in revenue, what they have to say to their market to get a conversion every single time. They're typically working long work weeks because they're playing marketer, sales, customer success, and operations and CEO, and they're trying to balance all the hats all at one time. And because of that, you typically will see revenue spikes and dips. Leads and sales are going to feel like a slog sometimes because they rely on you to generate them. You typically don't have a super repeatable acquisition system because you're too busy trying to grind them out organically, or you're mixing different things with mixed success, right? Maybe you're running different challenges or webinars, or maybe you're grinding out organically or trying to do launches every so often, right? Everybody picks a different thing. But what I see that's very clear in this stage is that most founders are trying to do too many things instead of finding one repeatable thing that works. The other clear marker of this stage is that client delivery takes up a ton of your time. Now, we like to call this one figuring it out because you have a business that you've managed to get off the ground, but you can't seem to crack that next level where things are repeatable, where things are scalable, and you're still trying to test a lot of different things. And it feels like sometimes like nothing works, or nothing works as well or as easy as it should be, or that you were promised it would, right? Now, the typical constraints that we see at this stage are lack of founder focus. Like I said, jumping from funnel to funnel, doing 100 different things, servicing clients, trying to enroll clients on sales calls, and then also being the head of marketing. They've got a lack of repeatable systems. Sometimes clients come in organically. Sometimes they message you from email, or sometimes maybe they come in from referrals or from cold, right? And then there's no stable hands-off delivery system. And this one's really important because it's really going to be tough for you to break into that next level if you as the founder get bogged down with having to service every single client, or better yet, if you have to get stuck doing customized delivery for everybody who comes in. Now, the good news is that this is relatively easy to solve. As long as you can find a system that works, you have a set of repeatable systems, and we can get you out of delivery, you can break through into what I call the lifestyle phase. Now, what this looks like at this stage is, as a founder, you're calm, it's controlled, and you're probably only working 20 to 25-hour work weeks. You're bringing in sustainable, steady revenue most months. Leads and sales come in each week. Client success is mostly hands-off, and you, as the founder, can actually take time off and the business is still going to run. But I think one of the most important parts that I see in this phase is that you can focus working on the business instead of working so much in it. And so we call this phase business works for me. All right. Now, the typical constraints to break through to the next level, which are levels of aggressive scale, really just come down to pushing aggressive volume, creating additional offers, expanding your media and your brand. And then honestly, there's a real limitation of your addressable market size. Some markets just aren't big enough for aggressive scale, and that's okay. That's why in this video, we're going to show you how to build your very own lifestyle phase. All right, so let's take a look at what that actually looks like. So what we want is we want a business that grows steadily, month over month. We want to be able to take time off without the business burning to the ground. We also want to be able to deliver an exceptional experience for our clients, because if we can sell more and nobody gets results, then that's not really fun for anybody and it's not doing anybody a service, right? So we want to make sure that we're still delivering an exceptional experience, not just collecting money and running off to the beach. So the goal is a business that supports your life and hitting steady 50 to 80K months. And we want to do that without being tied to the hamster viral content wheel, that all these gurus are promoting. You got to post 16 times a day. You got to follow trends and model what works, right? The other thing is we can't have sales that rely on us to convert them. As a founder, we will never hit that level of scale if we're the one who has to close every single deal that comes into our pipeline. And we're probably not going to be able to hit it if we're still customizing and handholding every client through delivery. Now, this is what must be true in order to make this a reality. And I have a framework here called ARR, and it works like this. First, we have attention. And attention, you must have a way to reach your ideal clients every day in a way that gets them to consume your message, engage with you, builds trust, and makes them want to work with you. You have to do it without turning into a full-time content creator or spending a king's ransom on ads. I know a lot of people just don't have the budget for that when you're in that 10 to 20K a month phase. You have some disposable income, but we don't have enough to drop 100K a month to bring home 10K back in profit. It's just the math ain't math in there. All right. Now, you must also have revenue. We need to be able to bring in new sales every single week. And we have to do it without involving you as the founder or relying exclusively on sales calls. Because unless you want to manage a really, really large sales team, setters, closers, juniors, and then have a sales manager to boot, it's just going to cause a lot of friction and confusion for everybody involved. And if you want to do this in 20 hours a week and have a sustainable lifestyle style business, then sales calls are really unnecessary. And I'm going to show you exactly why in this video. The next part is we got to have results. We must be able to deliver an exceptional experience for our client, because let's face it, if we can't deliver an exceptional experience, nobody's coming back, nobody's renewing, and nobody's referring us new business. And we need all three of those things in order to grow, because we want every input that comes into our business to have a larger than one input back out. And that's how over time your business continues to grow organically without more force. We'll get to that later on. But we must be able to deliver an exceptional experience without breaking your delivery when you add a bucket of new clients all at once. Ask yourself this: if you had 20 clients come in today, you would at first probably be pretty excited. But if you don't have the systems to onboard and deliver those clients properly, you're not going to be sleeping for a couple of days. It's probably really going to stress you out. The money sounds great, but more money, more problems in this case. Okay? And we need to have results that ideally can be delivered without you at least 80 to 90% of the time. Okay, if you're a founder, you should not have to handhold your clients to get most of the result. Next, we want to be able to do so without hiring a massive team to fulfill it for you. Because the more people we bring on board, the lower our profit margins are ultimately going to be. So, this is what must be true in order for you to scale to 50 to 80K months with a lifestyle business model. And it's totally possible. Now let's take a look at exactly what that entails. So now I want to introduce to you something that I call the Scalable Creator Model. And you can see that it revolves around attention, revenue, and results. Now, the first part of the Scalable Creator Model is that you need daily inbound leads. And the way that most people go about doing this is they try to go consistently viral. And the problem with viral content is that you're not attracting the right people who are interested in your business. If you're dancing like a monkey, you're going to attract people who want to watch people dancing like monkeys. If you're a relationship coach, because somebody watches a dancing video, does that mean that they're qualified to hire you as their coach? No, it doesn't. So we want to make sure that we are bringing in the right people every single day. Now, we solve this with a solution that we call waterfall branding. Okay? And what this looks like is not only do we take our core offer, but we take our avatar, the person that we actually want to be working with, and we go out and we develop one core piece of pillar content for them every week or every other week. Then we take that core piece of content and we turn it out into multitudes of other content: emails, reels, posts, and even carousels. And what this does is, because we're talking to the right person and it's based around our offer, yes, we may get a few less views, but they're the right views of the right people. And so what ends up happening is that when we make offers to these people, we're not making offers to people who are coming for dancing content. We're making offers to people who are coming for exactly what we do and what we talk about. So don't fall into the trap of trying to go viral. I know that that's what every guru out there is telling you to do. Model what works, be entertaining, be this, be that. But here's the reality, guys. You don't want to attract entertainment views unless you're trying to be do brand deals or you're trying to be the next Mr. Beast, okay? If you're a business owner, we want simple business views, people who view what we're talking about because they're engaged. Now, making it boring is almost a qualifier, because if you're making boring content talking about what you do and people are still watching it, they're actually interested in what you're talking about. That makes them a perfect fit lead for exactly what you do for your clients. Now, I found this out the hard way. When I first got started, I tried to copy every trend, all because I seen people who were way more successful than me at the time. So I tried to model what worked because that's what everybody told me to do. And what ended up happening was I built an audience up full of marketers and people trying to sell stuff themselves, not business owners. Okay? It took me years to figure this out, but it's why I struggled to sell my business and my marketing services to my market, because I was always pitching marketing. I got a lot of referrals out of it, but I didn't have the marketplace that I could go to and sell my own offer as easily. Now, as soon as I made this switch, where I started talking about how my offer fit and worked for business owners, how I made their life easier, how it systematized their day, how I solved their problems specifically, I made $30,000 off one single post. So don't make the same mistake that I made. So now real quick, I just want to get you to quickly rank yourself based on where you're standing. there's three categories. You've got red, yellow, and green. If you're red, you're probably having a lead come to you maybe once a week or less, actively wanting to know how you can help and if they can work with you. Yellow is you've got ideal clients coming to you multiple times a week, but it's just not daily. And then green is you've got ideal clients popping into your DMs on a daily basis multiple times per day. So just really quick, jot down which one you are because we're going to reference this later. Now, the next piece you need is called accelerating consumption. And why this is important is because Google did a study and it now takes somebody 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms just to feel comfortable buying from you because trust is so low. And so why is this a problem? Well, the problem is as soon as a lead comes into your world, you're often forgotten, right? Because of all the noise out there in the marketplace. Now, what we want is when a new lead enters our world, we want them to consume our message to hit our 7-11-4 requirement. Now, you'll know that this is happening because you'll have people message you saying, hey, I binge watched all your videos, I'm ready to go. All right, so that's ultimately the goal, is that we're getting people to binge to that 7-11-4 space. Now, we have a solution for this that I call instant indoctrination. Now, what this looks like is every time a new lead comes into our world, whether they come in as a referral from organic or wherever, they're immediately placed into a conveyor belt of $1-a-day content and automations that accelerate our brand for us, keeping us not only top of mind, but overcoming objections, limiting beliefs, and pre-selling our offers. Now, I had a client come to me recently, Eric, who was having a hard time converting his leads top of funnel. We installed this $1-a-day automation, and within the first week, he closed a $6,000 client directly from that $1-a-day automation. Now, we were able to do this because that content that we were showing him directly overcame his objections and showed him how it worked, which was something that previously wasn't fully being communicated. Now, this was very, very quick for us to set up and worked almost immediately with his target audience. So now, real quick, I just want to get a simple yes or no if you have something in place that your new leads, regardless of source, can come into your world and start hitting your 7-11-4 requirement so that they build that know, like, and trust. So just real quick, give yourself a yes or a no, and we're going to move on to the next section. Now, the next piece is you need to have sustainable traffic. The reality is in 2025, the whole creator game is pay to play. You're either going viral, which we already discussed, or you're just not getting enough views. So you're either getting the wrong views or you're not getting enough of the right views. And so there's really only one solution here. And the goal is we want to have qualified people, qualified new people daily. Okay, now this is going to work really, really well when you pair it with the consumption accelerator and the daily inbound leads. So how we do this is we have a program called Fast Leads when we're starting out and micro payday offers when we're starting to scale up, when we need to get a little bit of that ad spend back as we're continuing to push our offer out into the market. How this works is we put out something into the marketplace that gets the ideal prospect to raise their hand. They're not saying, I'm a buyer, I want your coaching right now. They're just saying, I'm a member of this audience. And by opting in or by purchasing our micro payday offer, they're saying that I'm a member of this audience, which is getting more qualified people into our pipeline every single day. And so we're doing this so that we can have enough people entering our world. We're getting our attention out there. We're getting sustainable traffic. We're getting new eyeballs on our offer every single day. Now, I had a client come to me recently named Sarah. She was dabbling with ads, but mostly trying to grow organically and just was burning out trying to keep up with the organic posting that her business needed to get to the next level. So when we worked together, we implemented a very simple, sustainable traffic system to bring in new leads of the right people into her pipeline on day one. Since then, she's been able to scale her business up to sustainable 40, 50K months, and she only works part-time because her team handles this part of the system. But what was the big unlock for her was getting that daily sustainable traffic dialed in. Now, on that note, I want you to mark yourself. And now this is a red, yellow, or green. And this is, do you have sustainable traffic coming into your world? Green is, yes, I've got more traffic than I can possibly handle. Yellow is, I've got some, I'm dabbling with ads. And then red is, I'm not running ads. I have no way of sustainably generating traffic into my business. Now, if you're red, don't worry. It's really, really easy to set this up. Again, this is one of the first things that we work with any new client who comes into our business. We have a system called Fast Leads. It's part of our Fast Cash Deal system, which is one of the first things that we do so that we can amplify new traffic for everybody so that we're leveling the playing field from all of those people that are saying, hey, you need to go viral. Now, the next part of the Scalable Creator ecosystem is we need to be able to make sales without you as the founder being involved. Unfortunately, you're just never going to be able to scale if you're the one who's closing all the calls. It's going to eat up too much of your time. You're going to be getting on calls with people who unfortunately are going to be unqualified if you're able to get on the call with them at all. And so the goal here is sales every week without you. Now, there's multiple different ways that you can do this. Some people do this by hiring a large sales team and becoming a professional babysitter for all their SDRs and setters and closers and things like that. But I don't know about you. I got into business to make my life easier and not to babysit children. I love salespeople. They're great people, but working with them can sometimes be a headache. So how we do this is we actually have an asynchronous automated selling system. And how this works is that when somebody tells us that they're interested in our offer, we just send them an offer doc and have a conversation with them in chat. And I know what you're probably thinking, is it even possible to sell premium offers in chat? And I can tell you, since August of last year, I have exclusively sold through chat and my life has never been simpler. What I found out is that by selling via chat, the people who were going to buy from you are still going to buy from you. And the people that weren't and the people that don't likely weren't going to buy from you on a call anyways. And so all you did was you just saved their time and yours. It's a great way to filter out the prospects who are actually serious in your business. Because let's face it, you don't want a sales call, your prospect doesn't want a sales call. So let's just get rid of them completely, and it's going to make things way easier for everybody. Now, the thing about selling without sales calls is when you get on a sales call, your time is limited to that one period. Meaning, if you don't close within that sales call, that time is completely wasted to the business. That time is, you can't get it back. But when you spend that same 45 minutes, right, 60 minutes, imagine taking 45 to 60 minutes every day that you could have been doing a sales call and then putting that into improving one singular offer doc that doesn't rely on you to have high energy, to show up as best as you can, to not make mistakes, and we can continually refine one singular point of failure instead of having to show up every single day over long periods of time where some of them hit, some of them don't, some people show up, some people don't. This works for us and sells for us while we sleep. Now, we have a very specific process in how we do that, which we don't have time to get into that today, but it's very, very simple, and it's one of the first things that we work on with new clients who come into our business. So real quick, I just want to see where you're at. Do you have a system that can sell without you as a founder? Yes or no? It's very, very simple. If you are a no, right, This is something that you got to fix immediately because you're never going to be able to hit 50, 80K months without being able to step away from the sales process. If you think about it, you don't see Sam Altman going and closing deals at OpenAI. You don't see Elon Musk selling Teslas at the Tesla dealership. They're doing things that grow the business, not operating in it. There's a time and a place for founder sales, but as soon as you try to scale, you need to step out of it. Now, one of the most critical components of being able to step away from sales is you need to have something that pre-sells and educates your market for you, because there's nothing worse than selling to unqualified or unindoctrinated leads. You'll know this is happening because you get on the call and the first thing they ask you is, so what is this all about? How can you even help me? Or how much is this? And ultimately all you're doing is you're just wasting your time and theirs. The goal here is you want to be speaking to leads who already have desire for how you can help. They already know what you do. They know what you're all about. They know how you can help them take the next step. Now we do this through a process that we call our enrollment engine. And what this looks like is this is a simple step-by-step video that just walks your ideal prospect through the journey of what it takes for them to go from where they are today to the result that they actually want. We're going to show them what all their pitfalls and roadblocks, their challenges, and what solutions have to happen in order to take them on their transformational journey. And it's a relatively simple process. Now, the first time I did this was with a client who they were manually trying to just run a lot of ads, a lot of paid media, and get people on the phone just because they had interest in what they were talking about. But the problem is that the sales team was talking to people who were completely unqualified for their offer. Now, what I did, I took this enrollment engine process and installed it for them and ran every single paid click through that system so that the salespeople, for the most part, were only speaking to people who had seen that video. Now, the actual number of people went down, but that was good because it saved their time. They were no longer speaking to grossly unqualified leads. And so what had happened was they were working with a previous agency that were just running forms to book a call, which was not only eating up their time, but they only closed 1 out of 20,000 leads. Now, I don't know about you, but imagine making 20,000 phone calls only to close 1 client. That was a $20,000 offer, and because they were getting dollar leads, they actually ended up breaking even. Most people aren't getting dollar leads, so this was not a good option for them. After we set up their enrollment engine, we started closing 1 in 10 that the salespeople actually made contact with and scheduled an appointment with. This resulted in a 50 to 1 ROI. And we did 4.5 million in sales over 18 months. Now that's the difference when you have a sales team who is able to put their efforts into something that has actually been pre-qualifying your leads, like your enrollment engine. Now, because we're not here to build out a big sales team and you want to make sales as a solo founder, this is even more important because we don't want to be sending unqualified leads into our chat-based system. Because if we're going to be conducting follow-ups, we only want to spend the limited amount of time we have for sales following up with people who have seen our offer, who have gone through our video, who know exactly how we can help, and they know exactly what that next step is. Because we've only got so much time in the day. We don't want to spend all day cold DMing or warm DMing, even passive strangers, because we're not going to make a lot of progress like that. So, real quick, I just want you to rank yourself. And this is, again, a simple yes or no. Do you have a piece in place that can take a cold, unqualified lead and immediately indoctrinate them, and they're going to know exactly what you do, how you can help, and what the solution they need is? So take a quick second, mark that yes or no, and then we're going to move on into the next one. Now, the next piece is if you're going to be closing as a solo founder, you need something that I call community cash flow. And this is something where if you're going to put any sort of efforts into your sales that are time bound, you're selling to multiple people. And because you're selling to multiple people, it's a great use of your time. Now, why this is so essential is because sometimes your leads just need a nudge, right? Again, in 2025, nobody really trusts anybody. Anybody can be anything on the internet thanks to AI and ChatGPT. So we need to give our leads a little bit of a nudge and sort of show them behind the scenes that we can do what we say we can do and that we are the real deal. And so that's the goal. The goal is to convert people at scale in groups. And this can look like a whole bunch of different things. How we do this is we do what's called the What's Working Now workshop. And basically what this looks like is you come in, you pull back the curtains, and you just take a single piece of your program and you turn it into an actionable presentation. We want to make sure that we're giving actionable value so that when somebody leaves, they got actual tangible value from working with you in a smaller limited capacity, but then we're going to make an offer to work with us, to take the next step. Because we've only given them this one small piece, there are several other pieces that now have to happen in order for our offer to really be complete, for them to go from here to here. And so we want to show up, we want to provide really good value for them. We want to give them genuine insight and tactical takeaways. We're not burying the lead here. We're actually showing up and giving them something that they can use and giving them a tremendous experience, because what we're doing is we're creating a movie trailer-like experience that they can come in and see how we can actually help them. So it's really, really important. Now, just real quick, this is another yes or no. Do you have something where you as the founder can convert people in a group setting? It's very simple. So if you don't, it's not a big deal. This is, again, one of the things that we work with several clients is to be able to now sell their leads that they've been generating through their other methods, because sometimes leads just, they need a little nudge, right? Now that we've covered conversion, we're going to cover into results. Now, this is the backbone of what your program is all about, of what your business is all about. I know in the internet world, everybody talks about just marketing and sales because that's the sexy pieces. But guess what? Having an exceptional first impression, having an exceptional product is gonna move mountains for you, because the number one best thing you can market are going to be your results, right? I don't care what anybody says. That makes the best marketing material, bar none, beyond anything. Now, the main problem that most people face is that they're manually onboarding. That's a big problem, because you can't immediately give somebody access, especially if they're buying things automated or offline or via doc. If they're doing it from a sales call, it's still problematic because you still have to hand somebody over who now has to process everything. And in today's world with automations and AI, it's not that difficult to just implement this, okay? So the goal here is to have a completely automated onboarding system. We want our clients to be able to get access, to get quick wins almost immediately. Within the first day, they need to know exactly what their next steps are. They need to have access to every single one of their materials. And if you do onboarding calls, they need to have that booked in and have an onboarding form submitted so that they are fully enveloped in your system, ready to go, making progress. Because the last thing you want to have happen, guys, is you don't want these people to come into your world, not get started, and all of a sudden panic because they didn't get access right away. That's how refunds and chargebacks get started, and those can cripple a business. You don't want those. So what we use is we use a system called Effortless Onboarding. And what this does is as soon as a new customer purchases our offer, they immediately get access to all of our materials. They get their onboarding information, they get their onboarding form, and they get immediately onboarded for their kickoff call with the group cohort. Plus, because of the way that we conduct this process, it feeds directly into our phase one of our gamified offer system, which tells clients exactly what they need to do within their first week, their second week, their third week, their fourth week. So they are just off to the races, gaining momentum, getting results, and everybody's happy. So I had to learn this the hard way. I launched a brand new offer a couple of years back and I got way more demand with it than I was expecting. And because of that, what ended up happening was I had zero onboarding systems in place. And so I had 10 people try to sign up overnight. And at first I was stoked. I was making great money. But it led to me staying up till 2, 3 in the morning trying to sort all of this stuff out on the back end. And if I'm being honest, I didn't give those clients the best impression that they should have got by working with me. I didn't come off as an authority because I didn't have this robust, streamlined onboarding system in place. I wasn't able to confidently tell them which step came next because I frankly didn't know. Not that I didn't know how to get the result, I had gotten the result plenty of times, but I didn't have a system to onboard and deliver for them. And so I had to work really, really hard to get that sorted out. So don't make that mistake because if you want to scale, you have to be able to take 3, 4, 5 clients on in a week. It's just simple math, right? If you look at 50 to 80K a month, let's take 80K a month, for example. If you charge $5,000 for your package, that's 4 clients a week that you have to be able to onboard and service and deliver. And so if you don't have a systematized offer process or a systematized onboarding process, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to now take that person and ascend them into your world. Okay? So, real quick, let's rank where you sit. Are you red? You're like me in that story where you have absolutely zero onboarding systems whatsoever. You're yellow, you have some in process, but it's far from automated. It's done maybe with a helper or you've got some systems in place to help guide them along, but it's not automated. And then green is it's 100% automated. Very, very simple. Now the good news is that even if you're not green in here, it takes a bit of work, but we have systems in place for this sort of thing so that when new clients come and work with us, this is one of the biggest unlocks that we can help them with because as a founder, if you're the one spending time having to onboard and do this with new clients, this immediately is going to unlock several hours a week for you that you can now focus on more revenue generating activities. Now, on that theme of client results, the next thing that we need to have is we need to have faster client wins. Now, this is important because at the end of the day, we're in the business of getting clients results. Not only is the best way to grow by creating value in the marketplace, but when you're able to create and deliver an exceptional experience, you create what's called viral word of mouth. And that's how your business can grow without any additional inputs from you. In fact, some of the most explosive businesses in the world have grown exclusively off of VWIM. I'm talking about Uber, Netflix, Airbnb. They had extremely high viral word of mouth, and it's why they seemingly blew up overnight. Now, we're not trying to get to that point. It'd be great if we could, but in a coaching business, that's unlikely to happen. However, we can still engineer the same principles. Now, we do this through faster client wins. And so the typical problem that most people face is that they don't have it systematized, right? They don't have a clear system to take their clients through. And so clients get stuck. Right? They run into roadblocks because no matter how good you are at what you do, there's always going to be something that comes up for your client. Maybe they don't understand it, maybe they have a time challenge, or maybe there's just a unique challenge that they have with their life or business. So ultimately, our job as a business owner is to maximize our results and minimize support needed. Now, one of the ways we do this at Scalable Creator is what I call speed boosters. Now, what a speed booster is your client's going to have their A to B transformational journey, right? On that journey, there are going to be a series of roadblocks that they're going to encounter. There's just problems and challenges. We come in and we eliminate those roadblocks by giving them done for you or done for you accelerated options, whether those are templates, SOPs, or even AI GPTs. Right? And so what we're doing is we are removing the roadblocks for them so that they don't have to go out and spend 3 hours learning crazy, in-depth, complicated content, especially with the power of AI nowadays. We can build them a custom GPT, a custom done for you, mostly asset that they can just plug in into their business. And so far, clients have been absolutely loving it because it's shortened their time to implementation, which previously they used to have to learn how to go out and do this stuff for themselves, when now we can train an AI to do the learning for them, and it's going to handle 70 to 80% of that workload so that the business owner can now just come in and take action, accelerating that A to B journey. Now, we can't unfortunately do this with everything, but our goal is to minimize support, not eliminate it, right? And the more we can do of this, the faster our clients are going to get wins. I'm very convinced that pretty soon you're going to have people who are going to be able to just come through a system, implement it with only minor check-ins. And that is how we try to help our clients architect their business so that they can minimize support, maximize their client results. Because let's face it, there's a lot of programs that rely on people coming in and having to sit on a group or weekly or even one-to-one coaching call. But if those are only scheduled once or twice a week, they're now having to wait around to get their problem solved. If they have a done for you or done accelerated for you upgrade that they can just take and employ right now, right at their fingertips, chances of them needing support is going to go down way, way, way lower. So now just real quick, like when was the last time that you went through a course and were excited to get 150 course modules? I don't think anybody was. We aren't there necessarily just for the learning. There are some things, but in general, we're there to solve a problem. We're there to get results. And so are your clients. And so our support in a large way can be automated for certain things. We're still going to provide them all the support that they need, but we can eliminate the number of support requests by just handling those things for us because we are the competent experts who can do those things for them. So now real quick, where do you think you sit on this spectrum? Do you have almost no done for you upgrades that your clients can implement to get better results? Or do you have it completely streamlined where they can just go and almost self walk through the entire program needing minimal support? Because if you're not a yellow or a red, then you're going to be in really good shape. If you are a red or yellow, then this is something that you're going to want to work on to scale your business, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to be dealing with endless amounts of support calls, support requests, and support chats to help your clients get across the finish line. And again, we're trying to build a scalable business, not one where we have to handhold our clients the whole way through. We're happy to help give them support where it's needed. But if you have to do something multiple times, it can very easily be turned into a done for you or done accelerated for you asset that your clients can just go and take. It saves your time and it saves their time, so that way you can save your time for more strategy and in-depth, deeper conversations and deeper support requests. Okay? And that's how we can work with more people and get better results for everybody all across the board. Now, on the topic of client results, we've got our last piece of the Scalable Creator model, which is scalable productized delivery. Now, the problem and the mistake that most people make is that they try to customize delivery for every client. And unfortunately, you're just never going to be able to scale up to 50 to 80K a month with customized delivery as a solo founder. Yes, there are people who do it with big teams and creative staff and all of those pieces that have to go into place, but it's a very, very, very difficult process and it's not very scalable. When you're able to do scalable productized delivery, you're now able to deliver a step-by-step, paint-by-numbers customer journey. It's going to be predictable. Your customers are going to now know that it's for them and that they're going to get a result because there's a predictable journey that others like them have gone through and gotten that same result. So not only is this going to increase your scalability and your operations, but it's actually going to help you get better results for your clients because there's going to be a proven method in place. This is probably the number one mistake that I see people who are stuck below 50K a month making, is that they don't have this repeatable system for delivery. So as a founder, they're still stuck being in the weeds doing all the things. Now, at Scalable Creator, one of the things that I pride myself on here is that we do this through what's called gamified delivery. Now, this is at the very, very core of the Scalable Creator model. And the reason is because it gets such good results. Now, most people do your standard A to B journey, and they just give you all the stuff in between. And that's great. That used to work in the past if somebody's willing to, try and learn and figure it out all on their own. But what we do instead is we actually give them a step by step approach, very much like a paint by numbers canvas. They come in and they don't have to learn all the stuff about marketing. They can come in and take a calculated set of step by step actions going through a set of phases, phase 1, 2, and 3, each designed to not only work with each other, but to build into the next stage. And because we do it this way, our clients don't get overwhelmed and they get better results. Now, just real quick, when a new client enters your world, do you have a repeatable system that they can enter? It's either going to be red, yellow, or green. Red is you have absolutely no system whatsoever. You are still completely customizing all of your flows. Yellow is you have some process, but it's not totally processed. And then green is it's gamified, it's processed. You know exactly what your clients have to go through step by step to go from where they are now to getting that end result. And it is gamified, it is completely paint by numbers, and that is what green looks like. Now, this is a core part of what we work with every client to do through Scalable Creator, because I firmly believe that when you have a good product, you have a business that is truly scalable. So now zooming out real quickly here, this is everything that you need to create a solo or very lean team $50,000 to $80,000 a month expert business. So by now, you probably have a pretty good idea of where you stand in this whole process. You might be solid in some pillars and you might be missing others. But look, if you're anything but green in some of these areas, it's probably why growth feels a lot harder than it should. And so if you want the exact systems that we install with our clients, head on over to Instagram, DM me the word 777, and I'll send you over a short doc that'll break down exactly what that looks like, the pricing, what's included, and everything you need to know to decide if working together is right for you. Because at the end of the day, the ones who win are the ones who take action. Now, if you're serious about scaling this year, head on over to Instagram, DM me 777, and let's go. I'll see you over there.